WRSR, Owasso, Flint. The following program has been pre-recorded and is paid for by Discover Flint Township. The views expressed are those of Discover Flint Township and do not necessarily reflect the views of 103.9 The Fox or Krill Communications, Inc. Welcome to Discover Flint Township, a program showcasing our local community. Flint Township is ready for your next move. And now, your host, Flint Township Economic Enhancement Director, Tracy Tucker.
This is Tracy Tucker, the Economic Enhancement Director for Flint Township, and you're listening to Discover Flint Township, brought to you by Flint Township Economic Development Authorities, HAP, Financial Plus Credit Union, and Shea Automotive Group. We're wide awake, and we hope you are too. This morning, we are speaking with Bridget Hollingsworth Stafford from HAP. Hey, Bridge.
Hey, Tracy, how you doing?
I'm good. Why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners and let everyone know what your role is at HAP?
Sure. So I'm Bridget Hollingsworth Stafford, just recently married this fall, and I am the Director of Community Outreach for HAP, and I work out of our Flint office here in Flint Township, just down the street. My role is really to assist HAP with our corporate social responsibility activities, and that includes sponsorships and donations to charities and agencies. And I also oversee the team that does outreach calls to a lot of our members, especially those that are most at risk for COVID-19, which I know we're going to talk about a little bit. Also, those that need assistance with basic needs like food and clothing, shelter, transportation. So we do a lot of work to help make sure that our members get what they need and are doing everything that they can to keep themselves healthy.
That's great. You know what? I was listening to what you were saying there, and I thought, she just got married. That's a big life change. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I know, just like many of our listeners, COVID had an effect on that process.
For sure. We were supposed to have a super big wedding back in May. I think we're going to have about 250 people, and that kind of got turned around. We ended up with just a really small group of folks in the backyard at home, but it turned out perfect.
Sure.
So, you have to make changes and adapt. And
That's
we're
right.
all doing that all the time right now, aren't we?
That's right. That's right. So if you had something like that happen to you out there, you understand we're all in this together, right?
But you gotta roll with it.
I know. Speaking of rolling with it, HAP has partnered with Flint Township in the past on some of our great community events that we've done. And one of the major things that we have done with HAP had been the health fair that they held there at your headquarters there at Corona and Linden Road. So what events were you able to do, if any, in 2020?
Yeah, the pandemic really did kind of put a crimp in our plans to do some of the things that we did. We still were able to continue with some of our really important sponsorships in this community. One is that we continue to be the presenting sponsor of the CRIM and the CRIM race. This year it was a virtual race versus the one that we all know as being a huge event in downtown Flint. So the CRIM, I know, was very happy to still have several thousand people participate, even though it was a virtual event. And the neat thing was people from all around the country who might not have normally been able to participate, but have great memories of the CRIM and of things in Flint were able to participate. So there were some cool things that still came about. And another important thing that we're supporting continually is the Flint Farmers Market. If you've been there, you see the big HAP logo on the outside of the building, and the market is still open. The vendors there are still available to help you out. And I know the excitement there is that there's a new fish market that's open just recently at the market. So we're excited about that. That's something we're to continue. And we are going to kind of establish our presence at the market, certainly with advisable protections. But I think the folks kind of miss us. We were there usually on every market day with information and HAP swag, and our friend Omar Sims was often there.
Omar's always there, isn't he?
So we're looking at some ways to kind of reestablish that, but still be safe and appropriate with COVID.
Yeah, and you helped us through community event funds. You helped us help out some of our small businesses in Flint Township with the small business marketing radio campaign that we did, and also our remotes that we did at the Discover Flint Township hair salons and barbershops and small restaurants and that type of thing. It was great to have HAP on board for those things. And like you said, in the COVID world, we weren't able to do much of the in-person, but we were still able to try to help out some of our businesses. So,
oh, for sure. I mean, it's really important, as you well know, in your role, that, we need these local small businesses not only to provide the services that they deliver, but also to provide jobs for a lot of our communities. So we've done as much as we can as well. And some of the things that HAP did for small businesses during 2020 was to actually reduce their premiums. So a lot of the small businesses in the Flint area who are HAP members and have their employees covered under our plans, we were able to help them a little bit. We know, we couldn't just say, gee, you don't have to pay your bill, but we were able to reduce premiums to kind of help,
right.
Where we could.
Sure.
It's a challenge these days.
Yeah. And speaking of challenges, because I know a lot of our listeners probably have a lot of the same questions that have come to your blog. So I'm going to grab some questions off there to have you answer for our listeners. One of the questions we've seen is, why should I get a flu shot this year? Or even, why should I get the COVID vaccine this year? We've heard both.
Right, for sure. And I do kind of want to preface my comments by saying that I am not personally a medical professional. I don't want any of the comments that I make here to be misconstrued as my attempt to replace your relationship with your physician, because that's certainly the most important relationship in your healthcare world, is your relationship with your doctor. So please discuss any of these things that we talk about with your doctor. But I can say that this year you've probably seen in the news that flu rates are down dramatically. And I think part of that is due to the fact that we are mostly adhering to those guidances that tell us to, social distance, to keep our hands clean, and to wear masks when we are out in public. And a lot of those things are also helping to reduce the flu exposure. But we are still encouraging our members to get flu shots. It's really not too late. And if you haven't gotten a flu shot, you can do that with your physician. You can do that at your community pharmacies, such as Walgreens or Rite Aid. We also have other pharmacies at Walmart, Kroger, Target, and so forth, where you can get flu shots. You'll see signs a lot of places when you're out and about. So if you haven't had a flu shot, we really do highly recommend it. And again, it is something, it's not going to protect you from COVID-19, but it is going to help prevent getting the flu.
Right.
It's something you want to do. If you can avoid it, you want to avoid the flu as well.
Sure. And I'll remind people too that if you go to our website, flinttownship.org, if you go on there, we do have a COVID update page, and there is a link there for vaccine information from the state, or you can go right to michigan.gov /COVID vaccine to get more information on where you can get the shots and how they'll be rolling out. So as we get more information on that, we will be adding. And if you have any questions for any of the guests that we have during our shows, HAP, Financial Plus, Credit Union, Shea Automotive Group, or even myself, Tracy Tucker, or any questions about what's going on in the township or the surrounding areas, you can email questions to discoverflinttownship@gmail.com. So got that out of the way. So let's go to the next question. Was basically, we're looking at, people don't know what they need to do, if they need to get care right now. With COVID, some people are scared to go to the hospital, they're scared to go to their doctor, and we don't want anybody, getting ill because they're not seeking treatment. So what can people expect?
Yeah, it is so important to continue with the care that your doctor recommends. We are suggesting that when it's appropriate, that people consider using telehealth services if their health plan allows for that, and HAP members do have that available to them. And there's certain things that you can do. So you do want to make sure that your doctor's office, if they provide that service, some of the things that you could do via a telehealth visit is some of your routine wellness things, not necessarily testing, but the conversation that you have with your doctor about your health situation and their recommendations on managing some of your chronic conditions like diabetes or asthma. And they also can address minor injuries or issues because the technology allows for the doctor to actually see you, and to, in the case of a rash or something like that, they can actually see what you're dealing with. Sure. And they can really oftentimes make an appropriate diagnosis just by what you're able to do in the telehealth. So if you're uncomfortable going to the doctor's office, or you want to stay home, which a lot of us are doing these days, there are many things that can be done via a telehealth visit. And we've elected to continue to waive the cost sharing for those visits through the end of March of this year. And certainly,
oh wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know they were waiving that again. I knew they had done it back in April, May, when all this first started. And you're right. It's a great way to get treatment from inside your home. I actually used it back, I think it was in May. And I used it, and it was so simple. You go on, you pick out the doctor you want to use, and what is it they say, Tracy, that necessity is the mother of invention? So a lot of providers were not in the telehealth space, or didn't really have very many visits in that type of interaction with patients. And we have seen just an explosion in the number of visits, and in the number of providers who are on board with it and saying, this is a great way to provide care. And maybe this will stay even after COVID. It allows us, to gather more freely. But we do want to let people know and I think this is pretty intuitive, but there are several things that you should not try to use telehealth for. I mean, things like if you're having chest pain or shortness of breath, if you have a serious injury, you're bleeding excessively, you should probably either go directly to an urgent care center or an emergency room, or in the case of things like chest pain or serious injury, you really still need to call 911. Sure. I mean, if I cut off half my arm, I need to go to the emergency room, right? Don't get online. We don't want anybody going online if you have a severe injury. But no, that's great information, because you're right. If you're having chest pains or shortness of breath or any of those major issues, you need to get to the emergency room or urgent care right away.
Absolutely right.
right.
And like I said, I think most people kind of grasp when it's appropriate and when it's not, but we do want to make sure that our members don't put off the care that's so important that they get. And again, when you do go out into the community, into your provider's office, or into a place where you're going to get a test, lab work, or x-rays or things of that nature, those providers have taken a lot of precautions and have policies in place to help protect you and the staff at the office. So we do want to make sure that you're not putting off the care. We're seeing, I've seen some statistics about the concern for cancer diagnoses that will increase over in the near future, because people aren't getting some of those screenings and tests that they should get. So we do encourage people to continue doing those things. And work with your provider. Work with your provider to make sure that the precautions, you're taking the appropriate precautions. I know we've seen physicians where sometimes they'll say, when you get to the parking lot, give us a call, we'll come get you. Others have just made accommodations in their offices to make the visit safer for everybody. So, it's really not the time to say, I'm going to put off getting that care, but it is time to be cautious and to take the appropriate precautions.
Sure. And while we're talking about these things, I'll remind people I am also not a doctor. And I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night. So please go to your doctor if you have any questions on your medical health. So you brought up the wellness visits. Is there any important information that people need to know about the wellness visits? I know they should be done annually, right?
Yeah. Some of the things that you need to do in person, for example, would be some things like blood pressure checks, immunizations, and again, don't put off your kids' immunizations. If they're needing those boosters and so forth, please continue to do that. We also want to make sure that people are getting appropriate checkups, and so well child care. And of course, if you're pregnant, prenatal and postpartum care is crucial. And that's something that we really, really want to make sure that people are staying on top of and getting that care. You can also talk to your doctor about COVID-19, your concerns, whether or not they recommend you take additional precautions, because you may have some of those additional risks that we've heard about. Sure. if you're more susceptible and immunocompromised. So some things you do want to take care of. And you do, for most services, there is a recommendation that is put together to kind of help guide you as far as based on your age, gender, and so forth, how often you should have different services. Like if you're over 50, for example, a few things that are recommended is to talk to your doctor about daily aspirin use and whether that's something that's indicated for you based on your condition. You may also want to ask about a pneumonia vaccine. Lung cancer screenings are very, very important and becoming more common. And there's some very simple ways that those screenings can be done now. We also want to talk with the older population about fall prevention. A lot of times older folks are on multiple medications, and some
Sure.
of those medications can impact your balance, or basically, make you more prone to dizziness and so forth, which can cause falls. And we've all heard that story about, someone who fell and broke their hip, and that was sort of, the beginning of a lot of problems. So do talk to your doctor about those types of things, and certainly there's certain services for kids that are also recommended on a very, a schedule. So we do want to make sure that people are talking with their doctor and are prepared for the visit, so that they've got some questions written down and they've got some things that they want to be sure to check with their doctor. And certainly if they're on any medications, they want to talk about whether there are interactions between the different medications that they're on, if the medications are actually necessary. Sometimes one doctor will prescribe a medication, another doctor will prescribe one, and maybe they don't always work that well together. So you do want to make sure that your doctor knows about all the medications you're taking, all the things you're doing too, like if you're taking any sorts of supplements or vitamins or herbal remedies or some of the weight loss things I hear people talk about. You want to make sure your doctor knows about all those things so that they can help manage your condition. Yeah,
and I'll remind people that if they want more detailed information, we're kind of doing an overview today, but if they want more detailed information, they can go to hap.org. And there is a blog there that has like frequently asked questions. However, I want to bring up something because I was going through your blog, coming up with questions, and I found something very interesting. It is a blog post that says Bridget runs the world. I didn't know that you were a world ruler.
So in 2019, those of you who know me know I'm not a super jock. I'm not like a super athletic person, and in fact, I'm kind of a klutz. It's my natural way of being. But I did take an opportunity to help promote the CRIM training program, the Crim Fit training program. And I joined the program and I decided to share my story. So you've obviously read some of my blog posts where I'm pretty honest.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was, I have to say, I felt, I really enjoyed sharing my story, and I really enjoyed running the Crim. I was really proud of myself for completing the 10-mile run. I still have so many friends that I met in that training program that I still keep in contact with. We still share each other, you know, birthday greetings, or a friend of mine is one of her football teams was knocked out, and so I commiserated with her. But it was just a great way to have a structured way to train for the Crim, to ensure your success. And honestly, I could never have done that 10-mile race without the support that I got from the people in that training program. So I just can't speak highly enough of that.
Yeah. So, you know, and it's so neat. It's a great journey, and I think people would enjoy reading that. And also, you know what? That might be a great idea to invite somebody from the Crim to come in and talk with us next time.
Oh, for sure. So, definitely. We want to get the latest on the plans for this year, and how we're going to deal with the Crim this year. And we've got a lot of great stuff coming up. I'm working on a program with Genesee Health Plan that's in the Flint schools to help people. Who would have thunk that doing laundry is a challenge for a lot of people, and that a lot of times kids are truly impacted and affected by whether or not they have clean clothing to wear to school.
Well,
so
sure.
That's something we'll talk more about. So lots of great things that we're doing. We're always looking for agencies in this area that are helping make a difference in the community, help support our community members in getting those basic needs met, whether it's certainly the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan. We support a lot via, of course, cash donations, but also employee volunteer opportunities. Lots of different agencies in this area doing amazing things for the community, and we want to support them however we can.
That's wonderful. You know, I'm going to switch gears here again because my mind just wanders all the time. So you'll get used to that over the year.
I can follow you.
Because we'll be together a lot this year. So you'll get used to how weird my brain works. So we've heard about what you did in 2020. We've heard about your blog. Yes. We've told people how they can email us at discoverflinttownship@gmail.com if they have questions. You can also reach Bridget if you have specific questions for her. You want to give your email, Bridget?
Sure. It would be send a note to communityoutreach@hap.org. And that's all one word, community outreach at hap.org.
And the website?
And we can address questions and provide feedback or get you hooked up with the appropriate people if you have a more technical or medical question that would be more appropriate.
Yes, don't ask Dr. Tracy and don't ask Dr. Bridget because we're not real doctors.
No, I don't even play one on TV. I guess I play one on the radio sometimes.
So you did have, and your website is?
It's HAP, www.hap.org. It's a great place to start. There's information there on coverage, on some of the items that we've talked about, and certainly how to reach out to us if you have more questions or need further information.
Sure. And we know you're going to join us again at least once a month for Discover Flint Township on our show. But what else have you got going on in 2021?
Well, we're working on a lot of different things to support the community. We're doing some things, too, with our Medicare members. So a lot of folks in the Flint area are part of our various Medicare Advantage plans. Many of them are through the UAW Retiree Medical Benefit Trust. So we've got thousands and thousands of members in the area through that plan. And we have multiple different ways that we're engaging with our Medicare members. And we're doing some fun things. We're doing virtual things like cooking demonstrations. We're doing virtual flower arranging. We've done a book club where the folks get together. And what we're finding is these book club people, they talk about the book for a minute, but really what they're there for is fellowship fellowship and friendship and getting some contact from the outside world. So you'll find some information on our website as well, and members can sign up for some of these events. And we're getting great feedback. As we talked about before with the pandemic and the inability to do some of these things in person, we've really found some fun ways to engage with our members. We also have some events coming up. I'll tell you more when we meet next month. But we'll also have some events, some member appreciation events to kind of help get folks off to a good start if they're new members on our Medicare plan, which we had quite a few folks join us this year. So I hope I can share with you next time some specific dates and times that we've got some events that members might want to sign up for.
Sure. And the next time you're on, we'll also have one of our local business spotlight people with us. So, and hopefully next time we can do this in person. Hopefully the COVID is going away. The COVID, as my family calls it. The COVID.
The COVID. Well, I'm one of the fortunate ones. I did get my first dose of the vaccine just yesterday. I'm feeling great. I did not feel a thing when I got the shot, so that made me happy because I'm not super fond of needles. I don't think most of us are. But I do feel a certain sense of relief. I do certainly still have to go for the second dose, but I can tell you so far, it's been really didn't change my day at all, other than having to get to the shot. So I really encourage people to, when it becomes available to you, I know there's been some delays. I've heard the governor's trying to increase the number of doses that are available, so we're hopeful that that will continue. I can say it's something that you should not be afraid to do, and maybe we can talk more about some of the concerns and stigma around getting immunizations and getting vaccinations. There's certainly different viewpoints on that
sure.
that we can talk about.
Sure. Yeah. And because that's going to be a very important topic going forward. And I think you guys might be first or second up in February. So we will be on the air every Sunday. So we welcome people to come back and listen to us from 7:30 to 8 a.m. on the Fox 103.9. But also, we're putting it on YouTube, and then some of our primary sponsors are putting it on their Facebook pages as well. So you can look for that. It sounds like you've got a busy year going on this year. So
we do, yeah. We're looking. We're kind of making our plans. We're looking at a lot of the organizations are still doing virtual events. I know we have some things coming up with some of the Flint area agencies. I think we're keeping an eye on things, and I think as more people get immunized or get the vaccine for COVID, I think we'll start to see a little bit more of the in-person events happening. And I know agencies are scrambling with how to continue, providing the services to their clients and their supporters, and also, needing companies like HAP to continue their financial support to help make sure these programs can continue.
Okay, so remind the listeners one more time what your email is and your website.
Yes, our website is hap.org. And if you would like to send an email, if you have a specific question I can help you with, please send that to communityoutreach@hap.org.
Great. And if you are wondering what they're doing next, tune in to Discover Flint Township every Sunday. And thanks, Bridget, for joining us today. It was fun.
Thanks, Tracy.
We look forward to the next time. Yeah, you too. And so we want to, you're welcome. We want to remind our listeners, if you have any questions for the show, to please email discoverflinttownship@gmail.com, or you can visit us on Facebook at Flint Township Events. And also our YouTube links will be on the Facebook page, or you can visit me at our website at Flint Township, all spelled out, .org. And so we want to thank you for joining us today, and thanks to our partners, Financial Plus Credit Union, Shea Automotive Group, and our guest today, HAP. Join us next Sunday with a special guest from Financial Plus Credit Union. I think they're speaking about mortgage lending, so that should be great. And we'll also remind you to stay safe, stay healthy, shop local, buy local, and discover Flint Township.
This has been Discover Flint Township with Tracy Tucker. For more information, visit discoverflinttownship.com. Flint Township is ready for your next move. The preceding program was pre-recorded and was paid for by Discover Flint Township. The views expressed are those of Discover Flint Township and do not necessarily reflect the views of 103.9 The Fox or Krill Communications, Inc.